Okay, let's dive right into one of the oldest, most respected, and frankly, most powerful openings in all of chess, the Queen's Gambit. If you really want to understand how to control a game from the very beginning, well, this is where you start.
But hold on, right away, we hit a puzzle. After white plays d4 and black answers with d5, white plays c4, and it looks like they're just giving a pawn away for free. I mean, it seems like a mistake, but this move is the key to absolutely everything. So why on earth would you do it?
Well, the name itself gives us a clue. A gambit is an offer of material, usually a pawn, to get some kind of advantage, like in time or position. But here's the kicker, the secret that makes this so genius. The Queen's Gambit isn't really a gambit. It's a brilliant trap disguised as a gift.
So what's really going on here? What is white actually trying to do with this clever-looking offer? It all boils down to a simple but incredibly powerful strategic trade.
The purest simplicity of white's plan is what makes it so brilliant. White is offering their less important c-pawn, a wing pawn, kind of on the sidelines, in exchange for black's super valuable d-pawn, a center pawn, which is right in the middle of the action. It's kind of like trading a bench player for a star quarterback. It's a no-brainer. And this, right here, this is the absolute dream scenario. If black takes the bait, white doesn't even bother recapturing right away. Nope. Instead, bam! They slam their e-pawn forward to e4. Just look at that. Two white pawns, side by side, totally dominating the most important squares on the board. For white, this is chess paradise.
And I know what you're thinking, but wait, what about that pawn on c4? Don't even worry about it. It's almost impossible for black to actually hold on to it. White can easily just scoop it up later with simple moves, like playing e3 and using the bishop, or even a quick queen check on a4. See, the pawn was never the point. The center was always the real prize.
So all of this puts black at this massive crossroads on just the second move. And their decision right here, to take the pawn or not, is going to define the entire character of the game that follows.
So black really has two main options. They can accept the gambit, which is this dynamic, risky path all about counterattack, or they can decline it, playing a solid move like e6 to just reinforce their center. This is the solid choice, what you might call the pros path, and it leads to a much more strategic, grinding battle.
Let's start by walking down that more aggressive path, the Queen's Gambit accepted. This is where black basically says, okay, I'll take that pawn, thank you very much. Now, the correct way to play this as black is surprisingly chill. You don't actually try to hold on to the pawn. You let white waste time getting it back, and you use that extra time, that tempo, to get your own pieces out super fast and get ready to challenge white's shiny new center from the sides. But this is the classic trap where so many players go wrong. They get greedy. They see that extra pawn and they try to hold on to it by playing b5. This is almost always a complete disaster. It just overextends black's pawns, it weakens their king, and it plays right into white's game plan. Okay, so what if black is a little more experienced? What if they know the trap? Well, that brings us to path number 2, the Queen's Gambit declined. This is where the real strategic masters love to do battle.
In the declined, white's plan is just clear and methodical. They keep building pressure on the center, developing their knights to their best squares, c3 and f3. And from there, white can create this incredibly annoying cramp in black's position, making it really hard for them to breathe, often with a signature pin from the bishop.
So the crucial thing to understand here is that all this pressure makes it really hard for black to develop all their pieces in a nice, harmonious way. And the main victim of this whole squeeze? It's often the light-squared bishop, stuck behind its own pawns back on c8. It's famously known as the problem child of the Queen's Gambit decline for black. Alright, so once we're past the first few moves, the game tends to settle into a few key strategic ideas that both sides really need to have in their toolkit. Let's take a look at 3 of the most important ones. First up for white, we have this beautiful concept called the minority attack. Now, if the center gets all locked up, white will often use their 2 queenside pawns to attack black's 3. The goal isn't even to win a pawn, it's to shatter black's pawn structure, creating a permanent weakness that white can pick on for the rest of the game.
Meanwhile, that battle for the center is still raging. Black is constantly, desperately looking for the perfect moment to play a pawn break, either with c5 or e5, to just explode the center and free up their cramped pieces. White, of course, is doing everything they can to stop this and eventually achieve their own ultimate goal, pushing their e-pawn to e4 and seizing a massive advantage in space.
So let's just zoom out for a second. Let's forget the specific moves and talk about the fundamental philosophy of this opening. What is the real endgame we're all playing for here? In one word, control. The Queen's Gambit is not for players who are looking for a flashy, quick knockout. No, this is for the strategists, the boa constrictors of the chess world. You aren't playing for checkmate on move 15, you are playing for a slow, suffocating, positional squeeze. This really is the soul of the opening. The entire goal is to methodically take away your opponent's breathing room. You're removing their good squares, you're restricting their pieces, and you're tightening your grip square by square until, just as the saying goes, they simply have no good moves left and their position just collapses. Which leaves us with a pretty fascinating final thought. The Queen's Gambit teaches us that there are different ways to win. So, what do you think? In any strategic contest, not just in chess, what's ultimately more powerful? The sudden, decisive blow or the slow, inevitable squeeze?